Hello, good evening, and welcome to Thursday Night Life with Chef Brackman. Tonight's topic is about grooming. Oh, more people are joining. 1 minute. Hello, hello, welcome. Tonight's topic is grooming is a process, not an accident. Basically, tonight's topic is just going to go over how grooming happens in a society, what we need to know as parents, as siblings, as community members, as adults, and just to understand how grooming gets enabled in a society. So, before I get started, just a few warning. Hello, just a little warning here and there. You might, because this thing, some of the stories are real life stories, and some people know me from way back. You might be tempted to go and do FBI and to go and do CIA and try to do CNN to go and broadcast. Please don't involve me. If I wanted to be in a courtroom hearing my Lord up and down, I'll be having this conversation in a different forum where I would name names and line up witnesses and that kind of thing. And then if you recognize yourself in the story, it's what it is. I'm an adult and I can tell my story, so it's what it is. I will not be calling any names. If you recognize yourself, if you think you think it's you, that's not my problem. So that I just wanted to put that out before we get started. Some of the triggers for this topic, like this is a topic that is very close to my heart, especially looking at the news today. And because, okay, so some of the triggers for picking this as a live topic is that I'm raising two beautiful daughters. They're growing in this world. And when I look at the news, some of you have been seeing the Epstein file and how deep it runs. There was a senator in Nigeria that married a very young wife, and it was a very polarizing topic. People had different takes on how it happened. So that is also weighing heavily on my mind. And also that I got a chance to live on Bonny Island again for 3 years between 2021 and 2024. Bonny Island is where I grew up and where I faced a lot of abuse and humiliation. So basically, going back to live there as an adult and then looking, through the lens of an adult, how children are still being groomed in that community, just laid a burden on my heart to just put more information there as a survivor and someone who has real life experiences. So when I went back to Bonny, I noticed a few things here and there, but there was a particular day that I was taking a stroll. And that place, there's a bicycle path, but some of them are bad. So people tend to drag the bicycle and try to cross a gutter, like have a shortcut. And then this girl, I was walking and then a girl ran into me. So I asked her what's going on. She said that a man was stalking her through the bushes. And because she couldn't ride the bicycle, she left the bicycle to run. So I'd walked her back to her bicycle. And then I walked her home to explain to her parents what was going on. And I'm like, these people don't quit. Is there no better protection? What's going on? And then there were whispers about some young girls here and there, wayward, promiscuous, all these words they keep throwing around about children. And I'm like, these people never quit. They don't learn. And then there was a day I'd gone for badminton. And one of the men that I was playing badminton with then pointed a girl to me and said to me, oh, look at that girl. Look at her big breasts. She's a young teenager. She's not wearing a bra or a bra top. And this is how all the boys go after her. And there are a lot of stories about her. He was trying to encourage me to go talk to the girl, to maybe ask her parents to buy her bra or bra top. But because he had mentioned that the girl is rude and a few things, and I was new, I was just back in the community then. I hadn't met this girl before. I didn't know who her parents were. And I was also being a coward because I didn't want to put myself out there and then people start digging stories from the past and all of that. So I chose not to intervene. But I think about it now, maybe I would have had a positive effect on this girl's life. I don't know. But there are a lot of girls in real trouble, especially as when the community or the society has turned against them. So basically, that's what we're going to do. This life is laying a groundwork. And then the next two lives, I'll be telling stories and layering on what we learned today. So basically, some of the tools they use to groom children is gossiping about children. Rumors about children is a grooming tool. Sexualizing children, isolating them, and then unsupervised access to children by adults and groomers using the community behavior. So these are the themes that we'll go over today. Let's get started. What is grooming? Grooming is when adults build trust with children so that they can exploit them later. And statistically, most of the groomers are closer to the family than we can imagine. Something that I need to remind everybody before we get started is that children cannot give consent ever. A child cannot give consent, cannot give sexual consent. So you need to remember this, whether the child came to you, whatever, you need to have this at the back of your mind, that you are the adult at all times. So how do communities accidentally assist in grooming? The first one is gossiping about children. When you start something like she's fast, she's wayward, she's promiscuous, what you do is that the impact is that labels replace compassion. So children that you would usually treat like children and have compassion and treat well, labels replace compassion. The child becomes isolated. Predators identify them as unprotected targets. Usually there's a level of dysfunction. Maybe one parent is not available. The parents are very busy with work. They have problems in the family. The child has very low self-esteem. There's usually some level of dysfunction. But when you gossip about children, then adults also stop defending them. So when you have labeled a child rude and a few things, adults just mind their business and stop defending those children. So imagine that if it's a child that there's no rumors about and the car stops by and someone is asking her to get into the car, you would stop them and want to know what's going on. But when there's all kinds of stories about a child, you tend to be like, and that is where the danger kicks in. That child becomes isolated and has no protection. And this is what we're trying to stop. So each time you find yourself gossiping about children, you need to check yourself, or listening to gist like, that child, guess who is chasing that child? Guess who that child is? All this story for you is gist. But who are you telling? The person you're telling might be a predator. So what they just look at, okay, so this one has reached sexual maturity. And if I go after her, it will be seen as normal because so and so have gone after her. So you've set another target on that child. So gossiping about children sets children up. And then when you find an adult eagerly hanging on and asking follow-up questions, so her mother does not live here. Oh, so her father is the doctor. He's always working. Oh, this, oh, that. Is she the first child? Does she usually play golf at this time? Does she usually come swimming at this time? They're gathering data. And you think it's gist. You are enabling a child predator by just handing them. You're handing them information. They're cataloging. And they will ask a few more people. And then they will build their plan and then go after that child. The second one is sexualizing and commenting on children's bodies. This needs to stop. All this, her breasts have come out to see her hips. She's developing fast. Boys will soon start chasing her. For you, it's gist. For you, it's gist. Let me tell you why that is harmful. Teaches children that their worth is tied to their bodies and sexuality. People are noticing me, so they start to want to be noticed. They start to pay attention to their appearance early, maybe trying to wear makeup, nail polish, all of that. We need to stop talking marriage to children. All this clean well, cook well, do this one well, do that one well, so you can find a good husband, so you can be good in your husband's house and blah, blah, blah. We need to stop talking marriage to children. And when you have a young child, maybe 10-year-old, 11-year-old, and you have an older adult visit and start talking about how they'll marry the child when she grows up, you need to discourage this kind of conversation. It's a grooming tool because you laugh, the child is there, they don't know what you think about it. When that adult starts approaching them behind your back and dropping more, you will not know. Stop talking marriage to children. Children have no business talking about or thinking about marriage. And when you sexualize children, when you talk about their bodies, it normalizes adults observing and discussing the bodies of children. It signals predators that sexual attention will be tolerated, because if they see you with that child, nobody will think he's a child. So please try not to do it. It silences the child through shame, because they're developing these bodies. They are trying to make sense of the puberty that has come upon them. And all of a sudden, there are all these whispers and talk about their bodies. It's confusing time. Children deserve privacy and respect. They're growing. They require to be protected, not to be, torn apart and discussed. The third one, the danger of isolating children. When a child is labeled promiscuous, stubborn, rude, difficult, adults stop supervising them. They are not believed when abused. They avoid reporting because they expect blame. So predators intentionally target lonely kids, kids seeking approval, kids with low self-esteem, kids whose parents are embarrassed by them. So they start to target this kind of children. And the isolation gets worse. And I have suffered isolation earlier in life when I was living on Bonny. And I think next week we'll talk about how isolation works, like real lived experience, what the impact it has on a child and the choices that they make. But today is just, I'm laying the groundwork so that you understand what I'm talking about when I start telling stories. Okay. So the next one is unsupervised time with children. When you let adults stay unsupervised with children, obviously grooming happens to both girls and boys. Yes, so I don't want to discount the experiences of the boy child, but I was a girl child, and this is the area I know. This is what I know. So most of my perspective will be from a girl child. So if there's a boy child who has been groomed, who has stories to tell, they can set up their own camera and do so, because I don't have that perspective. So I don't really know. A few people have told me a few things over time. So I know that it does happen to boys, and they tend to realize it later on reflection. But the girl perspective I'll be sharing. So when you let adults have unsupervised access to children, and this applies to teachers, uncles, cousins, drivers, pastors, coaches, older teenagers, and family friends, it is risky, because even if intentions are innocent, like letting your young girl go, let that youth corps teacher math or whatever, even if the intention is innocent, there's a power imbalance. The child may feel unable to say no when advances start. Community assumptions silence victims. So in that community, your family, friends, you're afraid of rocking the boat. The parents of the person who abused you and your parents are close. So it might make the child stay silent. No witness of if something goes wrong. Predators exploit trust and familiarity. Of course they do, because if they get caught, they will try to leverage past friendship not to go to jail. So they will beg, they'll try to use maybe a pastor you guys share together, they will call family meeting, they'll call community meeting, they'll try to squash it, as opposed to some stranger that you just call police immediately. So yes, a lot of the grooming comes from people who are close to the family. So, using a chaperone, chaperoning is not distrust, it is protection. This is not to stigmatize men that they can't behave around children. No, that's not true. It's just to remove the opportunities for abuse. Some children have been exposed before, right? Some children have been exposed before. So they have started becoming accustomed to being noticed and chased. And for some children, grooming affects children differently. So there are some that when you don't do what they expect, because a lot of adults have done it. These children have met adults that said, come off it, stop calling me uncle, call me baby. Like in Nigeria, when you have people who are older than you, we typically don't call them by first name. So there's uncle, auntie, brother, sister kind of thing. Then one 40-year-old is looking at a 13-year-old, 14-year-old girl and saying, touch my baby. Come off it. Don't call me uncle. Call me baby. You're not a baby anymore. Fine girl like you. So what does that tell that child? That child will stop taking the man seriously, will not take the man's wife seriously. And all the adults that associate with that man, suddenly the girl will just start looking at you guys strange and being sharper with you guys. And all of a sudden they'll say that the child is rude, but they don't know what the child has had to deal with. So predators watch for children whose parents fight publicly, children who are mocked and criticized, families who value reputation over safety, adults who sexualize children, children desperate for validation and affection. This is where they target. So there was a girl that I did go to school with, and later on, because what happened? We went somewhere to buy clothes and we're all trying clothes together, and she wouldn't take off her top, and I was wondering what was up with that. And then someone told me eventually that she had had a baby at 14 from their driver in their family, and that child is being raised as her sibling. So she had stretch marks and she was very body conscious. So you see, drivers and the girl child. So there's a type of rape, the violent rape that maybe someone is drugged, someone, you just pounce on the person. And then there's statutory rape, especially from someone who can't give consent, like a child who you've built trust with. So you've built trust over time, you've groomed that child, you do the act, the child still doesn't know or think that something is wrong. So they will not even report it until it becomes obvious that that child is pregnant, which was what happened in that case. Let me tell you a story now. Let's pause. Let me tell you a real life story to support this having chaperones and not just trusting people. When I was 10 years old, I know I was 10 years old because it was the year that Nigeria went from 30 states to 36 states. So it was 1996. There's an oil company in Port Harcourt that my father used to go and do locomat. He's a doctor. So basically, when the doctor there goes on leave or goes on a course or something, they need another doctor to come and cover. And so sometimes my dad will go there and work for months or weeks. And then he will get a holiday in a period that he is in that company. He will send a driver to Enugu to pick us and bring us to Port Harcourt. Then we will stay in his guest room. We'll eat in the canteen. It was a nice residential area. So we'll go there and spend weeks of our holiday. So a lot of people in the camp knew that my mom was working. So my mom normally doesn't come. It would just be me. In this case, it was 3 of us that went, myself, my brother, and one of my sisters. So we'll stay in the guest room. My dad will go to work. We'll go and walk around. So I was just looking after my siblings. We'll go to the playground. We'll walk around. We'll come back. And I don't know when this man saw us. It was a man. There was a room near the canteen, near the camp boss's office. That room had a big table in the middle with, partitions. And then there were desktops in that room. And he approached my father and said that when we don't have anything to do, we should come to the computer room and he will teach us how to use computer. So my father said, okay, it's an activity for his children, so why not? So he took us there, introduced us to the man, now said that we should find out when he has time and we'll come. So I used to go with my brother and my sister. My sister was very young, so she would just be running around. My brother was very keen. He picked it up fast. He was teaching us how to play solitaire. I mean, it was Windows 95. There wasn't a lot in computers at the time, right? I think it was our first time touching a computer. So the first time, okay, this is keyboard, this is mouse, this is desktop, this is CPU, this is floppy disk, something very basic, nothing. Yeah. But by the second time we went, he started trying to touch me under the table. And, you swipe his hand, you ask him what he's doing, and he'll now tell you, are you a child? Are you a baby? Why are you doing like this? So by the second or third time, I decided I wasn't going again because it was getting really uncomfortable. So basically he had noticed me. He had built trust with my father, and he had gotten my father to send us to him. And then he will sit beside me in the chair next to me. And then his hand is under the table trying to pat my legs. I was 10. So please, let me just sound it out there. Please, whether what was done to a child was pleasurable or not, it is wrong. It is a crime. So we should just, instead of blaming a child, and for me, I don't know why, but I didn't report things. I just somehow, I avoided, I ran, I swerved, but encourage your children to be open with you, talk to you, ask questions. And anytime your child comes with an accusation, please, your first question should not be, what were you doing there? Or what did you say? Just stick to the fact. What is she saying? And deal with it. Don't blame. We should believe children, because once an adult is involved, the adult will always be wrong. Now, there are some countries, they have something they call Romeo and Juliet rules, where one child is underage. Like, let's say there's a 14-year-old, and then they were involved with a 16 or 17-year-old. It won't be considered a crime. Or they're like 16 and the adult is 18 or 19. Some have a 3 to 5 year buffer that they will not call a crime. They will just call it something similar to the Romeo and Juliet rules. But when they're adults, like in their 20s with more than 6 to 7, 8 year gap, you need to take it very seriously, because the children are out of their depth at this point. The child will not stand a chance at all if the groomer knows what they're doing. Now, there are two types of groomers. There are some that adore the innocence. They want to start from scratch. And there are some that don't want that whole someone might cry, someone might report. So they want to target someone that has already been groomed. And then they just go in smoother and hone in. They're both dangerous in their own way. So please protect your daughters. Yeah, that reminds me, there was another story when I was 14, 15. Bonnie, I don't remember where I met this man. He was Italian. I think I ran into him. He introduced himself, and then he started calling my house. Back then, nobody had cell phones, right? But the residential area I lived on in Bonnie, we had extensions. So if you know the person who works in the company's name, you can find their house extension. So he will call and ask for me, and he'll get me talking, encourage me to be laughing and all kinds of things. And he's making strange noises. I was young, but the noises he was making, to me, these are not type of noises, to the best of my knowledge, as I'd watched movies and co. It's not noises that you expect someone to make by themselves. It was noise that you make with others. So I was always like, what's going on? So he kept calling me, like he'll go to work, his lunch break, he'll call me and start grunting on the phone, making noises, just tell me to keep talking. And then he's murmuring things in Italian. Then one day, I can't remember, and then he said his pants were tight, he needed to take them off, I should give him a moment. That was the first time I realized what he was doing. So he would call me, keep me on the phone, keep me talking, and be masturbating on the phone to a 14-year-old girl. So even phone access, and now that children have cell phones and have social media, I'm even more worried, because my own time, you have to do it physically. You have to write letters to somebody in the compound and slip it to the child, or you call their landline, and if an adult picks, you drop. Then you call again. Then you tell the child what time you will call, then to make sure that they're the ones that pick the phone and those kind of things. So the dynamics are changing. So I might be giving you some old school data, but you can imagine that if they were that efficient back then, that it's even worse now. That's what I imagine. So grooming begins with compliments, gifts, attention. So they know a child who is seeking attention. They watch for a while, they lay in wait. It's unimaginable how much data they collect before they approach. I'm telling you, because sometimes someone had told them that maybe they have been with this girl, and then they approached and maybe they consider the guy maybe not as nice looking as them. So when they approach the girl and the girl says no, and they've tried and run out of scripts, it will go to accusation. Next thing is, but if it's this person, you will agree. That will be your first time hearing that there is this type of data out there about you. So they collect everything they can collect and they keep throwing things at you. So please, compliments is one of the ways, and attention, a lot of attention. But the gift part is the one that I would dwell on. As adults and as parents, please, please discourage your children from accepting presents privately. Anybody that wants to gift your child something should do so in front of you. Adults that encourage children to keep secrets are not safe adults. So all this let it be our little secrets and all that is the beginning of trouble, because from my experience, from what I know, when they start gifting children and giving children money, they become bolder. My house, for example, my mom does not tolerate this thing. Anything she sees on you that she did not buy, you will explain immediately. I remember when I was in primary school and I had this stupid idea to exchange wristwatch with a friend. And I came home and my mom looked at my hand and said, "Where is that watch from?" I explained. She said, "What was wrong with your watch?" I was punished. We went, back then, we used to have this phone book that when you open it, you see these see-through card things where you put the cards of people. Book with, you put phone card, people's complimentary card. So luckily, we had the card of that parent. So we called that house so that my mom could confirm that indeed the person had my watch and I hadn't stolen a watch. So if you come back with stuff, you need to say where it came from. Oh, this person gave me a present. And another good thing you need to learn, at least I learned from my mother, is to thank the person. Now, when an adult gives your child money or a present, and you thank that adult, not just that it shows class and good upbringing, it tells that adult that you're paying attention, that you're focused and you're aware, that you're involved. But if your child can be given money, perfumes, presents, and they just bring it home and use it, it's not a good thing. Children should not be able to receive this kind of things, right? There was a time that I've told this story before on Facebook, I think. There's a man, he was a manager in the company my father worked for. And he came to our house. He was traveling and my dad had written some prescriptions, and then my dad picked the medicine from the pharmacy for him. And then my dad gave me the medicine in a brown envelope and asked me to go drop it with the man. I'm sure for him at the time, the man is supposed to be living with his family, so he wouldn't have thought the man would be alone. So I climbed my bicycle with the envelope and rode all the way to his house to deliver the drugs. I arrived there, he was home alone. His family had gone abroad on vacation. So I walk in, I give him the thing, and he's looking at me, he's licking his lips, he's laughing. So he took the envelope, he drops it on the table, and then he squeezed my breast. I don't know how, how stressed, whatever. I don't know how quickly I left there. I just ran out the door, got on my bicycle, and rode home. I don't know why I didn't tell. Till now, I've thought about it. I don't know why I didn't tell. A few weeks later, he was in our house. He was talking to my dad. I walked in. You can see, and then I walked past and he was just following me, my eyes. So maybe he said to him that if I push this girl too hard, she will talk. So what he did is that he ran into me in the supermarket and then he gave me money. I think it was 1,500 naira or something. This was in 2001. He gave me money and said, Ada, be a good girl, which is like saying nothing, let it go, kind of. And he never came near me again. But there are different ways these people operate. And then there was another man. I was already in the university. I ran into him at a bank and he was asking questions. I don't know how he came about, what do students need or something like that. I said, students always need money and stuff. He now said, oh, okay, blah, blah, blah. He now wrote me a check for 20,000 naira and gave it to me. I said, thank you. I left. We were not really family friends. Like, he worked in the same company with my dad. We knew each other socially, but we're not family friends. And he knew my mom. So at some point, he then went and I think, he had, I don't know what the game was. And then he went to my mom and told my mom that he gave me money, which might have surprised my mom because we're not really close. So my mom, of course, asked, so why? Like, why kind of question. And I think he panicked and now said that I begged him for it, which upset my mom because we're taught not to beg. We don't beg. Me, my siblings, no, we don't beg. So I think when my mom now came back, she now asked me that this man said this. I blew up. So I was so angry. I was explaining to her because he panicked because he didn't understand. He could not explain giving me the money. So he panicked and said I begged him. So I was going to call him and tell my mom was like, okay, I should calm down, that she trusts because she would have been surprised, So they have different ways. There was also this man, they worked for a pharmaceutical company. And then, back then, or not now, there's more conflict of interest laws now. But back then, all these pharmaceutical companies chase doctors around. When I was living in Enugu, they come, they bring hampers, they bring all these fancy pens and co, just to encourage you to prescribe more of their medication. So there was always presents. And I remember once they had come to our house and there was this pen. It was very common then. It was raining then. It was white pen. It's a short white pen. This part is blue. It has red pen, green pen, blue pen, and black pen. So when you press the button down, you write with the red. When you press the other button, it's green. Very nice pen. And I've always wanted one. So they came with a branded one. And then it was part of the package. I wanted it. And my mom was like, don't bother, she will take it or something like that. And then the guy was now looking at me and smiling. And then I remember I should escort him to the car. And they were like, if you're a good girl, I will also get you one. Please, you see, try all this, even escort that adult to the car or do this or do that. Try to limit it. These people are lurking in plain sight. They're everywhere. They use all kinds of things. So be careful. Gifts, compliments, attention. And that attention, some of it you will notice as a parent, like you have 4 kids, you have 3 kids, you have 4 kids, but it's only one of your daughters. It's your only daughter or your first daughter. That's the only one they ask about. And they will be asking about that one. They'll be looking around. When that one comes out, the way they look at, and you're too trusting. You're too trusting. There are thank you. There are different tactics, same mission. They change, they update. I'm just putting these things out there. If you learn something today, learn that your children, if they start smelling like perfume you did not buy, when I say children, I mean those under age 18, at the point that you buy, I think some kids start buying their own clothes from 16, 17, 18, but when they're that age, that you're the one buying their clothes, buying their underwear, buying their jewelry, buying their perfume, they need to smell like the perfume you bought. Yeah, simple. They need to wear the watch you bought. They need to wear the jewelry you bought. And if anybody gives them a present, they need to report it immediately. And mothers, can I talk to us? This thing that we do, this thing that Nigerian mothers do, that when they give your child money, you take it. When they start getting to a certain age, when they start being conscious and also want to touch money, you need to build trust. Because if you keep taking it, it will teach them to keep secrets. And in that gap, someone will give them money, they won't tell you. And the damage will start. When this whole Epstein thing started, and I watched one of the first things on Netflix, and I saw that a child recruited another child to go massage an old man for $200 an hour. Before the series even started taking shape into what it became, I screamed because I knew it can't go well. You see, when these people start investing money, gifts, and maybe that was some of the things that saved me, because they moved with extreme caution because I was not accepting any gifts. So please, gifts is something that you and your children, especially your daughters, need to discuss today. Everything given to you, tell your mother. You as a mother, go and thank the person. If it's a family friend, if it's a cousin, it's an uncle. You bought school bag for Kamsi. Thank you. You gave her 20,000 naira. Thank you. Thank the adult so that they know that you know. Because once they start all this, I understand you more than your parents, and all this shouting at your children in front of people, you don't know what those people are picking up. They start getting the idea that that child is not loved and appreciated at home. So they come from that angle of, oh, I understand you more than your parents. I appreciate you more than your parents. I do this. The danger is in front. So please try. No matter how angry they make you outside, try to manage, package till you come home. And they also offer rides, mentorship, money, phone access. So please pay attention. What other adults should do instead? The next session, what should adults do? Believe children first. Correct adults who sexualize children. Shut down gossip immediately. Shut it down. They will tell you, you'll not tell somebody else. But for example, if you're telling me about a child that I know, a child that I like a child that I know the parents, if I listen, if I agree to listen, it means that I want to talk to the parents. But for me to listen and then look for another adult and say, guess what? They'll say what? I said, guess what? You say what? And I say, this child and that youth copper. Come on, we need to stop it. Shut down gossip immediately. Protect a child's dignity. There was once that there was a video circulating. Someone was molesting a child. People were downloading the video and sharing. And adults on social media were like, I've seen it. Who wants to see it? And at that point, I'm like, do people know this is a crime? To be in possession of child pornography? So please, protect a child's dignity. Monitor adult-child alone time. So if the lesson teacher is male, you need to be around. The nanny needs to be around. Someone needs to be in that vicinity if it's a one-on-one lesson. Because here you see this hand under the table. It's a common tactic. And before you know it, it will go to something else and they'll start agreeing to meet somewhere else that is not lesson. Please. Normalize boundaries and supervision. This goes without saying. Teach children body autonomy. You need to do it early. Explain their body parts and explain to them that it's theirs and nobody else's. Tell children nothing you ever do justifies abuse. So whether they're in the wrong place or in the right place, nothing justifies any abuse on a child. Please. Language to replace harmful labels. Instead of she's promiscuous, say she needs guidance. She needs belonging. She needs confidence and protection. Let's find what she's struggling with. If you can help. If it's your area, if you can talk to parents, if you can counsel, if you can help. If you cannot help, leave it alone. Gossip will do more harm than good. And there are these children, I call them, children are still children. And then there are these children I call non-child. They are children. You can see they're children. Their age so they don't even need to be big for their age. Children that are big for their age get more targeted, I think, but they don't even need to be big for their age. There are children that are being raised like adults at home. They're spoken to like adults. They're treated like adults. So they talk like adults and co. Those are not the children I'm referring to, because those ones that act like adults are always close to their parents. They're always doing things with their parents. But there are children who exposure and awareness have made them start behaving like adults. It's the grooming and some things, but you need to always remember that they are children. So instead of labeling them rude, you need to understand where it's coming from. All these uncles that have told them to call them baby, all these uncles that are sharing secrets, you're talking about your wife to a child, and you want that child to take you seriously. You want that child to take adults seriously as a whole. And because some children have been exposed to certain things, they might try to do what they think you want. Like you leave a child with an adult male, maybe to supervise or to do lessons, and they will now be the one to maybe touch the adult male or to expose themselves. Please, you are still the adult. Even if she comes in naked, you should exercise some self-control. You should still remember that this is a child. Never forget that. If you're dealing with a child, you should always remember this. Children, we also need to remember that children act out unmet needs, not immorality. They're children. So sometimes it's a cry for attention, it's something. There's some level of dysfunction somewhere. They are seeking something, but we can protect them. So culture, religion, respectability. Many communities, especially in Africa, South Asia, and the Middle East, they prioritize silence, shame, reputation, and obedience. And these kind of things can let grooming continue silently. And we need to all be aware. Anywhere you see it, you need to stop it. So I just want to ask a few questions so that we can think about it. I'll be rounding off soon, and we'll meet again next week where there will be stories and applications of what we're learning today. Did adults gossip about children in your school or in your community? Has anybody, tell me, just type in has anybody seen it? Where adults are gossiping about children, maybe in the staff room, even teachers, in school, in the community. Were adults allowed to have too much access to children in your community? Block rosary, catechism, choir practice, those kind of things. Did you notice anything? Did you learn anything? Have you ever heard people sexualize a child's body? What were your thoughts? What did you do? And in the future, if it happens again, what will you do? So the closing message for today is that children are not seductive. Children do not attract abuse. Children do not provoke adults. The adult is always responsible. Communities must be safe, not the predators. No, whether he's rich, whether he's powerful, whether he's a pastor, whether he's a teacher, whether he's a community leader, they're not the ones that need protection. The child should always come first. So just to recap what we have learned today, some of the tools used in community to groom children: gossiping or rumors, sexualizing children, isolating children, unsupervised time with adults, and groomers using community behavior. It's like picking a big nash. Another thing. Yes, it is a sick thing to say. Yes, you're right. Thank you for contributing. So that concludes today's live because I don't want to keep us too long. So thank you very much for joining and have a good weekend. Bye-bye.